Hi everyone, thank you for watching this presentation video. This video will introduce in the paper PhoneInVR, an evaluation of spatial anchoring and interaction techniques for smartphone usage in virtual reality. This work is done by me, Fengyuan, with my lab mates Mauricio, Sousa, Ludwig, Sidenmark, and being supervised by Tovi Grossman. We all came from the Dynamic Graphic Project, University of Toronto. So as the title showed up, this paper is actually a discussion about how we actually enable the phone usage in the virtual reality. As XR devices in general not working individually, but being more integrated with the personal devices such as laptops and smartphones. So specifically with the smartphones, it's providing the feature that makes it more important. So first of all, most of the smartphones are nearby in everyone's pocket, and people already familiar of using the phone as an information proxy for all of their personal daily lives. And other than the integration of the personal information and digital information, the phone interface also providing the haptic and relatively precise input, which is lacked by the decent XR devices. So existing research works has noticed such a benefits and explored a lot of the potential way of how we actually integrating the phone within the XR devices. Not only for the research works, but also with some current products trying to also enable the phone in the virtual reality. Since the phone itself is re-rendered in the VR, it is yet not a concrete standard of how we actually hook or anchor the virtual interface of the virtual phone. Should the phone still be kicked with a physical phone, or maybe we don't need a physical phone because the information is more necessary, then it might be something we still mimic how people in the real world using the phone, but without the physical phone anchoring into the virtual hand, or even to enabling the phone within the spatial environment, just as other VR applications. And also, while the touch and the spatial gesture can all enable to operation with the surface, it is also unclear which one has a difference and what is a performance and a user preference difference there. So as a combination questions, once we really want to figure out whether the spatial anchorings and the interaction techniques would influence the performance and the task efficiency, and what are the user preferences regarding those things. Once we try to searching for that answer, we suddenly realize there is no concrete user study or some literature trying to answer a question in such a practical way. So that is our motivation and the basic contribution for this work. So in order to figuring out, we need to first categorize the spatial anchoring and the interaction techniques. So as we actually covered before, we first providing the three-way of the spatial anchored strategy. The phone locked one is exactly the same as how we people using the phone in the real world. We need a physical phone being first tracked by the virtual reality, and then we mapping the virtual interface into the physical tracked phone and making the work exactly as how people do in the real life. The hand-locked version means that we actually don't need a physical being tracked, but we still hope the phone being anchored within the user's non-dominant hand, exactly like how people using the phone mimics the performance of how people using the phone, but not actually making things literally work. And the last one is a waterlocked one, which is similar like how people using operation and interact with the spatial floating window, which is being more familiar with people to using the real world applications in the XR environment. But we don't know whether it is also a good way to operate with the phone interface content. And we decided to evaluate the two input techniques that's just being very common. The touch, which is very exactly same as how people using the phone. Meanwhile, the pinch, which is being a more standard way that you're shooting a ray from your hand and using the pinch for the click event. User study. In order to evaluate those combination of the performance, we deploy the user study with three different tasks. The target acquisition one, we mimic the target with the size about the common icon size and the keyboard stroke size, and trying to measure its completion over the error rate and the speed. The swipe is literally to mimic how actually people could do the swipe gesture, which is also similar in different directions. And also the target acquisition, so which is, to be honest, very common. That just once you scroll mimics the behavior of the people using the phone to scroll the content, like you scrolling for Twitter or TikTok stuff. And such a study is just a huge combination. So for each target acquisition, we will then evaluate the combination about the three spatial anchoring strategies over the multiply the two input techniques. And we recruiting 24 participants for our work. So the results. For the target acquisition one, we designed two sizes, multiple two distance with three anchoring and two input techniques. Decision times for the anchoring, we found in the phone locked one is the most fast one, and followed by the hand lock and the water lock. And if we're thinking about whether the touch and pinch works, it works in a different way. But if we actually have the physical phone being supported, the touch with the phone locked is the most fast one. And but if there is no physical phone provided, the pinch works way faster than touch for water-locked condition. And for the arrow distance, the phone-locked one actually is superior to the hand-locked one and the water-locked one. To the hand-locked one, that is actually providing the minimum anchors, and the water-locked compared to the phone-locked one, which is kind of interesting. And the pinch consistently results in smaller arrow distance than touch. We believe that is related to the fat finger issue, and because the pinch is actually finally shooting away, people getting more and more possible way to making the aiming to be more accurate. For the swipe, we measure the four directions and with three anchor and two input, same stuff. We measure the three dependent variable swipe time, which is just how long the swipe will be starting and ended. The swipe distance and the swipe angle are something we're trying to measure the accuracy. But from the practical way, we realize the swipe distance and swipe angles, they are under a very small volume of the stuff. So even the statistic providing some significance, in practice it's not worth working. Like just you can, if we only care about the plus minus 1 degree, it's making no difference, right? So basically for the swipe time, we will find in the phone locked one with the touch interaction technique making the swiping time be significantly smaller than any other conditions. The technical side, so the no significant difference for each pinch between the anchorings, and the pinch generally faster than the touch for water lock and the hand lock one, but reversely for the phone locked one, which is faster for touch than the hand lock and the water lock. For the scroll content, what we do is we will providing a target number and asking the participants to aim into. And because it just the number of lines, we decide the three different target distance, which is between 5 line space, 10 line space, and 15 line space. For the scroll time, the pinch faster than the touch in hand lock and water locked one, and no difference between the pinch and touch in phone locked. And the phone locked has also the shortest scroll time with touch. Arrow distance, pinch has shorter arrow distance than touch in water locked and hand locked. And the touch in the phone locked shows a smaller arrows than other combinations. Scroll travel distance, pinch leads to shorter travel distance, except for the shortest distance in the phone locked one, and the touch in phone locked less travel distance than water locked and hand locked. User preference. So other than the performance side, we after the study we asking the user to first voting for the spatial anchorings among different anchoring, and we finding the water locked one and the phone locked one receiving the most welcome one, and we realize that it's kind of weird that once you have nothing holding in the phone, people actually feel it's weird, even it mimics the behavior like the handheld UI. And also, once we talking about the interaction technique preference, if the physical phone is provided, definitely people will loving the touch more than pinch. But reversely, if there is no physical phone provided, pinch works way better, being more welcome than the touch. And also we're using the similar like NASA text load index and also the self-reported way of the performance. And we're finding that the phone locked one and the water locked one works better than the hand locked one in the mental load. And also the phone locked one, which you have a physical phone, people feel they finish better than without the phone, and feels more easier to without that. Summary: if everything actually works properly well, so if you are a designer trying to introducing the phone into the virtual reality, anything works. But if it's possible, the phone locked with touch superior due to the haptic feedback in both of most of the accuracy and fast over the other conditions, and also being mostly welcomed by the user preference. And the hand lock and the word lock with pinch works better. So if you don't want the phone being checked, making your user interface ideally floating on the air and let user using the pinch to operate with it. Limitations. So this work was actually done in last year, definitely. At that moment, the video see-through works bad, like the left one, which is impossible to make in the story a study. However, with the recent way of the video see-through techniques, it is works way better than that distorted one. Even that thing might be just similar like the phone locked one of the anchoring strategy. Ideally, we need to figure this thing out. And also for the floating on air, which is a spatial locked way, we only evaluate the one-to-one mapped size mirror window there. A scalable mirror window with combined input from both the phone and the spatial window can also be measured. And also, one of the best things for the virtual reality is all the content can be augmented in a proper way. So an evaluation towards the augmented content and the real-world application will benefit to making things work. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.